Yo guys, so here we are. It's a new year. I hope you guys had the best Christmas and New Year's break. It's really nice to just chill out. I hope you guys had a really chill time. The title of this video is definitely giving away the subject, and I've been sitting on this for so long. I think it's about 6 months in total that I've been waiting to be able to reveal this to you. But I have a new bike, so it's literally right in front of me here, but instead of filming it on the GoPro, I want to show you some cool cinematic shots of it, and then we're going to jump into a bike check of it and a sort of build video. So I'm going to walk you through why I've chosen the parts, and I'm going to show some cool clips of maybe like fitting the parts as I built it up. But I think it's still going to be a cool video, and I'm so excited to share this with you. Let's get into it. So here is my custom built 2021 Propain Spindrift. Now the reason I chose this bike is because it is a modern day free ride bike. It runs big travel. You've got 180 on the back and you can run 180 or 190 up the front, and it pedals up really well. So it's a good balance between an enduro bike and a downhill bike. It's got a perfect amount of travel, I personally think, for the UK for bike parks. But the fact that it pedals up is really handy as well, because my old Scott Voltage did not pedal very well. So let's start with the frame. I went for just a frame set, which is basically the frame and a shock, because I wanted to transfer all of the parts over from my Scott Voltage bike. The frame is a large, and I went for the alloy version because I'm not bothered about saving the weight, and it was quite a bit cheaper to go for the alloy version. And you can't get it in the raw color if you're obviously having carbon, and I really like that color. And of course, if you're interested in this bike, or you like downhill, jumping, free ride, trail building, consider hitting subscribe below. It means so much to me. It helps me out more than you know. And I've got loads more videos featuring this bike coming up. So if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. So when the frame arrived, the first step was to cut some stickers out to rep my brand, Descent. Check out the link in the description, and to put some frame protection on it. I was able to get my dad to help me with this because he is so good with these like small fiddly things. I'm super thankful for all the help. We've basically put a temporary frame protection on because I ordered the wrong width of tape, so it's very temporary for now, but hopefully the new tape will be arriving soon and I can do a better job and cover the entire frame and go from there. So with the frame set from Propain, I spec'd the Rockshox Super Deluxe Select R coil. Now I've always preferred how a coil feels on the trails, especially on downhill trails, and I think it looks the part. It looks absolutely amazing, and the reason I actually chose it, it was the lowest and budget option for the coils, but I actually really like how simplistic it is. With the more expensive shocks, you have more control over the compression, and I always found that way too confusing to be able to fiddle with that. With this coil, very similar to the Bomber CR that I had on my Scott Voltage, all you really can do is change the spring compression by winding that, or changing the rebound, and that is more than enough for me. I don't really need to delve into the super depths of it because I find it way too confusing. So my initial plan, as I've said, was to take parts from my Scott Voltage and transfer them over to this bike. And the main thing was the fork, because forks are expensive. I was hoping that I could fit mine. And I found out once the frame had come that my Fox 36s were the wrong offset. They need to be 38mm, and the ones I had were 44mm. And I wanted the bike to ride how it was designed to be. Realizing that my Fox 36 forks wouldn't fit was super stressful. So I went online and I actually found these Rockshox Zeb Ultimates for £710 on, I think it was Bikester.com, which is crazy. That £710 includes postage from Germany, and you don't pay import tax, and that was VAT included as well, which ridiculous. That's so cheap, and they were brand new as well. And even better, the Fox 36s that I had were running 180mm. These are the full 190, so this is like a proper weapon. And the difference between the Fox 36s, obviously the sanctions, these have 38mm sanctions, whereas the 36s had 36, so they're meant to be a lot stiffer. I cannot wait to test these out because they look like absolute machines. They're like weapons. So let's move on to the wheels. Now, another issue I had when transferring parts from the Scott Voltage was the wheels. The plan was to take my Hope Pro 4 hubs that are laced to the Tech downhill rims and just put them straight on the bike. Now, I had to order boost adapters, and you can see from the clip that the size difference is actually quite big, and I knew that I would have to boost adapt them. But what I didn't realize is that the rear hub on that wheel set was actually a downhill hub, which made sense considering that it was a downhill wheel set. The free hub body was actually set into the hub, so when you put an 11-speed cassette on, it would hit the spokes. But fortunately, I found this Enduro wheel set on Facebook Marketplace, which is the exact same color Hope orange hubs, but on the Enduro rims, which are slightly lighter. They're not as wide, but I don't think that's a big issue. Frank down in Bournemouth did me a solid deal on these, so cheers Frank, that's so sick. I can't wait to try these out, and it's a bit of a shame that I couldn't make the old ones work, but they'll be for sale. So if you want a pair of Hope downhill hubs, let me know. And for tyres, I'm running Michelin Wild Enduros. I actually have the front and rear tyre. I've heard a lot of mixed opinions about these, so I'm really interested to try them out myself. They look so sick, but obviously aesthetics aren't all of it. But I'm running these tubeless with PE sealant inside. Now for the drivetrain, I'm actually running 11-speed, and the reason I'm doing this is because 12-speed is so expensive and seems to be quite hard to get hold of. I think we all got on fine before 12-speed came along. I'm really interested to see how this performs. I bought a really cheap eBay cassette. I think that costs 20 quid or something. It's a little on the heavy side, but I'm really interested to see how that performs. And I'm also running a 32 tooth Amazon special up front. Now, a lot of you are probably wincing because that's quite a cheap setup, but I'm actually putting it to the test, and I'm going to do a video about this in the future once I've got some miles in on it. Now, I imagine that this is quite a weak sprocket. So what I've done is taken the chain guard off the other bike. This screwed straight into the frame. The frame actually came with a really cool adapter that you'll see from the clips, and we screwed that on just to take away any bashes that might end up breaking the sprocket. And I'm running a SRAM 11-speed derailleur. And for the cranks, I'm running the Truvative Descendant cranks that came off of my Scott Voltage. They are slightly worn, but they work really well. And for pedals, I'm using these super worn out Pembrey D2As. You can actually catch the review in the top right-hand corner. They are very worn, but I actually quite like how it has the raw and orange that kind of matches the bike in a way. Now moving on to the controls, we have the Bergtech Josh Bryson's signature 50mm rise bars. I love these. I actually really enjoy how a high-rise bar feels, and I'm running an orange Unite stem. It matches up nicely with the other orange parts of the bike, and this is actually designed and manufactured in Wales, which is really cool to support UK business. For grips on all of my other bikes, I've always run DMR Def grips, and I actually wanted to try something different, and I found these fun grips on Amazon. I'm quite interested to see how they perform. They have quite a similar design to the Def grips, but perhaps a little more low profile. Would be good to see how they perform. The brakes I'm running came off the Scott Voltage. They are Shimano Dior XTs, and they are very worn. You can see they have been through some action, but I didn't want to buy new brakes because, one, Brexit and the demand has made them really expensive, but also these ones work absolutely fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with transferring parts over, and if I bought brand new ones, they would just get bashed up anyway. I love these brakes. I would recommend these brakes to anyone. And for those Dior XT brakes to clamp onto, I'm running 203 rotors. Now, we had an issue with this because the Zebs are designed for 200mm rotors. SRAM and Shimano have their own size, which is, to me, is absolutely stupid. 200 and 203. We had to space it using washers to basically push it out 1.5mm because there's no point in buying an adapter to do that tiny amount. For the saddle, I went for this Bergtech one. I think it's a good blend between the dirt jump saddles and the more mountain bike oriented ones. Now the plan is to run a dropper post in the future, but for now I have this super long seat post because this is so long here I can get away with it. I'm gonna get a dropper post in the future, so let me know in the comments below which one you think I should get. And if you're interested in seeing how this bike rides, join me next time where I'll be taking it out for its first maiden voyage. We're going to be going to Forest of Dean and seeing how it fares. Whoa, it just flies. So there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this insight into my new bike. It's such a beautiful bike and I cannot wait to take it out for a spin. I think it's very fitting that it should be completed just at the start of 2022 when we can get out and get some real shredding on. I'm really excited to see how it runs compared to the Scott Voltage because they are basically intended to be the same thing, but the Scott is a 2014 geometry, I think, or maybe even earlier than that. Now I've heard that this bike pedals really well, so as part of 2022 and my New Year's resolution, instead of pushing up at all the trails, I'm going to try and do some more pedaling. Don't hold me to it, but I'm going to try because I want to get fit, because obviously the fitter you are, the better you can ride downhill, the stronger you'll be. So I'm really interested to see how the compromise of these two, basically being an enduro bike and a downhill bike, like come somewhere in the middle is how I like kind of interpret it. But I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you aren't subscribed, consider hitting the subscribe button and let me know what you think in the comments below. Ping it a little like for me. I'll catch you again next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get a shred on when I see you next. Let's go.